Live, and I've got with me Tabitha this morning. Are you Tabitha?
Good morning, everybody. Morning, Kenneth. Such a privilege to be with you again. Had a phenomenal Tuesday morning session again with our wonderful WOW ladies, just connecting and see where they are at. What was your takeaway from this morning session?
I think the biggest moment for me out of this entire meeting this morning was when I got to look at one of the ladies in the group and tell her that this is not your fault, that the fact that your husband is
Mm,
watching porn is not your fault. This is his own decision. Nothing that you could have done would have stopped him from watching porn. Nothing that you could have done more of or less of could have caused him to watch porn. That was for me such an awesome moment. And I just saw heads nodding and people all acknowledging that fact. What
mm.
did you think of that, Tabitha?
Now, I think for me this morning, obviously, that's always so profound for me when you say that. And often when I meet with ladies for the first time, I always say, if Kenneth was here with us today, he would say. So when you said that, it just sparked something inside of me because I often say that, if you were with me right now, I know this is what you would be saying to her. And I think it's just so profound coming from you as another man, who can speak with that authority to say, I'm telling you, it's not you. And I think so many women, feel like, what could I have done better? Like, was I not enough? Especially when you're dealing with low self-esteem issues or just feeling like you're not in a great place. Maybe you've just had a baby or, going through a bit of change of life and then you discover that this has happened to your husband. But I think for me, my biggest takeaway this morning was, why do we sometimes get stuck and not progress forward? Why do we, as people, we know better sometimes, but then we still do. The bad old habits of checking his phone and, putting tracking apps on his devices to try and figure out what he's doing. And then I often think to myself, that was one of the discussion points this morning where ladies were saying, what, some of us have been on this journey for quite a long time, maybe 6 months or a year, and why have we not moved forward? And then that just stuck in my head, and I just thought to myself for a second, why don't we move forward? What holds us back? And then I just sort of thought to myself in my own life, when I struggled with the trauma of my dad's death, and I mean, it took me a very long time to come to terms with it. And people often most probably thought I thought of things in a very weird way. But I used to feel very irritated when my family would discuss my dad or speak of him as if he was dead. Which is weird because he is dead. But I used to get very offended, like when they would speak about him in past tense, like he used to do this or he loved that. And I mean, I refused to go back to my dad's grave after we put his ashes in the wall of memory. I just battled because for me it was such a final thing, that I wasn't going to see him again. And many years into my marriage, like I wouldn't like to speak about my father's death. And then one day I just woke up, and it just all came tumbling down. And often I think back on my own life, why did it take me so long? I know that there's eternal life. I know where my dad is. He was a good man. I had the knowledge of all that stuff. I knew all of these things, but I still couldn't process it, and that's when someone mentioned that this morning. I thought to myself, why do we get stuck and not able to move forward? Why do ladies who know, they join the Zoom session, they're on the group, they know that, tracking their husband's phone is not good for them psychologically. They know all these things, but why do we still do it? And so that's what I was thinking about this morning. I don't know if you have some perspective on that. You've been doing this a lot longer, but, why do we get stuck? Why don't we move forward even though we know what we're doing is not right? I don't know. It's a hard one for me.
It's very difficult. Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm a little bit scrambling for an answer. Yeah, because I don't know all the
Sorry.
answers. But no, that's fine, David. Yeah, I think it's fine. This is about being
Mm,
real and honest. So I think one of the first things that comes to mind is the illusion of control, right? I think
mm,
we can deceive ourselves into thinking that we are in control, and therefore we hold on to things that provides us a level of self-sufficiency, or I can preserve or protect myself.
yeah, comfort.
Um,
Mm,
Definitely like a comfort as well. Definitely, that makes sense as well. So, yeah, that's a very good question. One day I'll definitely ponder upon. And if you're watching this video, please would you share your thoughts and feelings about that question with us as well? We'd like to learn from you as well. Maybe you have a perception or an idea as to why do we keep on holding on to things that's hurtful for us, that damages us psychologically, and obviously Tabitha is speaking about like going through the phone and snooping through stuff, and that's just such an ugly feeling always that leaves people with, So very good question. Why do we keep on doing that? I mean, again, what the first thing that comes up for me is the control issue. It feels to me like it's definitely a control issue. My partner is being unfaithful. What the heck must I do? What must I do? How do I stop him from doing this? Then I look at his life. And to be honest, I've also been there, like there's a time in my life where I've been there, I had to like snoop on my partner's phone and then discover some apps that hid some stuff. And and that was very painful for me. And my whole focus became about that bloody phone. I just wanted to get my fingers into that phone, sneaking in the middle of the night, like leopard crawling on the carpet, trying to get to the phone there without her waking up. Oh my goodness. It became like an obsessive thing, but it was the illusion of control. Like if I can see what's in that phone, then I can control it. I can do something about it. So I get that as well. And am I saying we shouldn't be doing that? Absolutely. I don't think. I mean, and somebody else had the suggestion this morning of what about asking him if you can look through his phone? That.
Yeah.
I mean, that's much easier. If he says no, then I know there's something that he's hiding. If he says yes, then then that's fine. Then I look at it, So
and one of the ladies did say something really great for me that stood out, where she was saying, at the end of the day, I think it does come back down to control. Even if I, explore my own trauma, if I could control what was said and how it was said, I wouldn't feel the pain of the loss. So I definitely agree with you. It comes down to controlling our environments and the people in our environments to sort of navigate the story we want, for our own comfort, but how do you deal with pain? It's to go through the pain, it's to walk through that pain, and I mean, now today I can speak freely about my dad and the things that he's left behind in his legacy, and I'm able to share that with my children. But there was a very strong area in my life where I couldn't do that, and what this lady was sharing this morning was saying, you know what, do we truly have control over our partners? Even if you had every app and, he could have a burner phone, she said, I didn't even think of that, like, 007, a burner phone, in the back of his car, underneath the boot, in the spare wheel, but it's true what she said, at the end of the day, how do you really see that he's committed and serious about his journey? It's through his behavior, through his actions, and like she said something so profound in the sense that, even if he has relapsed or if he is doing things that maybe, he shouldn't be doing, is his action saying, I want to recover, I want to be in recovery, and that's where I thought at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. All of us have our flaws. But if your partner is out there today and his actions are speaking louder than his addiction, that his recovery is outweighing, his addiction, that's where you see the true recovery coming into place. The fact that he gets up, he shows up for his meetings, he engages in his journaling, or whatever his method is of working through his recovery, which you said this morning looks different for different people, and that for me was just so profound and stood out. Let's start identifying and acknowledging our partner's behaviors and where they are really working hard to change it. Not just look at what they've done in the past, but are they making that conscious decision every day to, I want to do better. I know better now, so I can do better now, So I was very glad that we left our session off on that with a lot of hope, and with the ladies, and like the one lady said, I didn't know looking at, his phone is making me more anxious and paranoid. But now that I think of it, it does, and that's like you said, sometimes we just need someone to spark something or highlight something in our lives that we realize, is this actually good for me?
Sure. So what's the challenge today for the lady? Shall we challenge every single woman lady to ask her husband if she can look at his phone? That's terrible, but maybe
I
that's a
think,
good idea. I don't know.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
what do you
my
think?
challenge for the ladies, I think the challenge out there for the ladies for me today is to say, you know what, let's look at ourselves, ladies. You know, what can we do better for ourselves? Because our
Mm,
recovery is also just as important as our partners, you know. And if, like Kenneth says, if you feel like you need to ask him, then, you know, do it above board and say, listen, I want to see what's going on your phone. Don't have to act like Pink Panther snooping around the bed as he's deep in his sleep, you know. But my challenge for the ladies today, and that was also something I could identify in my own life, is do some introspection and say, you know what am I doing that's continuously hurting myself that I can redirect today, that can make me better for tomorrow, you know? So that is my challenge for the ladies, Kenneth.
and we have a wonderful platform where you can learn more about that. How do I live my best self? And in a way that
Mm,
would deal with the betrayal that is, with the trauma that is betrayal, that is caused by betrayal. And
mm,
then one thing that comes up for me, and it's like a burning thing in my heart, and it's like if his behavior is speaking louder than his words,
mm,
then listen. Then
mm,
listen to his behavior. Listen to his behavior. What his behavior says at all. It's all in that. So,
mm,
I think it's time to listen. Then maybe I need to take some actions. And the other thing that came out in the session, I know we're going on a bit, but like if I focus on myself, ladies, if you focused on yourself, husbands, if you focused on yourself, both of you become better. And if one of the
mm.
two individuals don't want to come to the party, you're still better off. You're still better off, like that was amazing. So and that's also something that we use in the sessions and in the program and everything else. We're going huge. We're going to make a massive difference. We're going to dent this demon of addiction in South Africa
Mm,
that's on every man's phone and in every man's heart and every single church. It's there. It's just lying there, busy enjoying itself, busy sucking the soul out of every single person on this planet, man. And I think it's time that we like really make a difference, standing together and confronting this thing head on with truth and with worth and with value, and becoming in the process the men that and women that God has called us to be. And not be distracted by all of this nonsense and focusing on Jesus and becoming exactly what he wants us to be, being empowered by his truth and his light and his love. We can beat this thing together, but alone we cannot do it. But if we stand together and we
mm.
rise up as a community, we can make a massive difference that will last generations into the future. And that's what this whole process is all about. Please send me a message if you want to talk about it more. I am available, and I'm getting a little bit annoyed at the fact that it's taking so long. But yeah, God's got his right timing, and we'll
Mm.
just keeping on doing what we're doing. So thanks for the time here, Tabitha. Any final word from you, or do we end there?
No, I just want to say to the lady, just remember you're enough. You're beautiful. There's a wonderful community of ladies out there. If you're struggling, if you're battling, there's no reason to be alone. So please reach out to us on Kenneth's platform or at Grace Online. We definitely are waiting for you open arms. You can be raw, you can be real, you can be who you are. And there's no reason to battle this out on your own. So I hope you guys have a fabulous Tuesday. We look forward to you on Saturday again, being able to share, just bringing some new insights to you guys. But I hope you all just have a phenomenal day.
Awesome. Thanks, Tabitha. Have a nice day. Cheerio.
Thanks, guys. Bye.